What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Dogman. Written and directed by Peter Hastings, this film also stars Peter Hastings as well as people like Pete Davidson, Lil Rel Howery, and many more. And before we get too far into this video, if you guys like early reviews for movies like this, retrospective reviews, live streams, and the occasional vlog, then you're in the right place, and I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. But if you're a returning viewer, well, thank you so much for coming back once again to hear me talk about another movie. And today we're going to be talking about Dogman. As soon as I saw the trailer for it, I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Captain Underpants. And it turns out that's exactly the case, because this is actually written by the same book author, Dave Pilkey, who also did Captain Underpants. As a kid, I would see the Captain Underpants books around. I read a few of them, but I was by no means a huge fan. Just last year, actually, on a plane, I saw the Captain Underpants film for the very first time. I never got around to making a video on it, but when I saw Dogman was coming out, I was like, okay, cool, I'm excited to check this out. This film is coming from Universal and Dreamworks, who has had some great films in recent year in the animation department, most notably things like The Wild Robot, so I went into this with a lot of excitement. Now, before I get into my thoughts on the film, though, let's get into what this film is all about, and then we'll get into my thoughts on the film. Dogman opens up and we're introduced to Officer Knight and his companion Greg the dog. Not too long into the film, we learn that they're out there chasing all the criminals, most notably Petey the cat, who is the big villain of this film, one of two, and the two of them unfortunately end up undergoing an accident that leaves Officer Knight's head completely unusable and Greg the dog's body completely unusable. And we learn amidst all this that Officer Knight was not the brightest of the bunch. He wasn't the brains of the operation, and it was actually Greg the dog that was the smart one, but Officer Knight's body was great for acrobatics and all sorts of martial arts things. So they decide to surgically combine the two, putting Greg the dog's head on Officer Knight's body, and now you have Dogman. And over the course of the film, they'll try to stop the villain of this film, Petey the cat. And there's a bunch of other things that happen in this film, but of course I'm not going to spoil it. And so what I can start this off by saying was, walking out of the film, the first thing I could think about was that this is a movie that's immediately solely for kids. This isn't a film that is layered and rich. I mentioned something like The Wild Robot earlier, and that's a film that kids could walk out enjoying from last year, but that I think a lot of adults were going to walk out of thinking about what it is to be a parent, thinking about what it is that their parents did for them. It's a film that has layers. It's a film that has a story that you can kind of have different audience members walk away with different things. And in the case of Dogman, this is a film that is simple, straightforward, knows what it is, and is 100% for kids. The humor is for kids. The dialogue is for kids. The editing style of this film is for kids. Everything about this film is colorful, vibrant, fast-paced, and in a lot of ways built to kind of be overstimulating for the eye. And that's okay, right? I think it's a kind of thing where I walk out of a film like this, and as somebody who critiques film, I have to take those kind of things into consideration. I saw the film with my mom and my buddy Rashad G of Rashad G Reviews, and he enjoyed the film a little bit more than I did. I was somewhere on the middle on it, and my mom wasn't really a big fan. For her, she was like, this is just so for kids. My mom was like, I won't even want to show this to my grandson, which is my nephew. She doesn't even want to show it to him because she just felt like it was just so dumb and surface level, and that it didn't really offer too much. And in a lot of ways, I agree with her. I laughed plenty in this film. The movie is so ridiculous and silly at times that you just can't help but have a laugh at some of the crazy antics that take place in this film. But it's undeniably a film that isn't really layered. And in the modern day, when there's a lot of films coming from Disney or Pixar or you know, Dreamworks themselves and tons of other smaller studios that are able to kind of give richer stories for kids that also adults can walk away from something with the film as well, you know, undeniable that a film like this just kind of feels like solely for kids and in the most simplistic way. But I think that this film has its place. I think kids are going to walk out of this film having had a good time, and I think if parents take their kids to see this, I can't promise that the parents are going to walk out having had a good time themselves, but I can certainly see that there's going to be a lot of kids that walk out thinking that was a blast. Now, in the press screening that I saw the film in, there was a bunch of kids as well, because there was also a general audience sitting outside of the press rows, and so everybody else that was there that had their kids were having a great time. There was tons of laughter. There was tons of little silly moments that got the kids going. There was some songs that played that I started to see some kids dancing. So I think this is going to be that kind of movie, something you throw on for your kids when you're maybe making dinner. You just need them to kind of be distracted by something, because the film has a lot visually going on. Now, I don't want to necessarily fully discount this film on a narrative level, because there are elements about this film that I really enjoyed, and that's most notably specifically on the character of Little Petey, a smaller, younger version of Petey the cat that we get to meet in this film. I don't want to say too much about his character, but his element of the film I thought to be the most endearing, the most charming, the most cute, and the character arcs around him I thought were without a doubt the best part of the film. I thought that he was my favorite part of the film without a doubt, and was what kept me glued to the screen. When it comes down to the main character, Dogman, Peter Hastings plays the character once he becomes Dogman. He also plays Officer Knight, but he's a character that does nothing but howl and bark, and so it's kind of hard to kind of root for a lead character or really connect to a lead character who never says anything. Now, there's a lot of visual storytelling that's done here, and I think that this film definitely benefits from that. The animation is charming, it's cute to look at, it's very vibrant, and the character of Dogman is funny in the fact that he's almost like a mime. He's a character that doesn't have anything to say, but he's able to do so much with his expressions and little silly moments and those barks and howls. And so by no means did I dislike the character of Dogman, but I do think that having the lead character be this way definitely led to it feeling a little bit redundant at a certain point. And I think that's definitely something to keep in mind going into this film. Overall, when it comes down to Dogman, I don't have an abundance to say on this film. It's a simple, straightforward, cute kids movie that's specifically for kids. It doesn't really have humor and dialogue and characters and narrative depth that parents are going to walk away from this thinking, wow, what a great film. I want to watch this when the kids are asleep. It's one of those films that I think you're going to specifically use for distraction purposes for your kids, but I certainly see kids walking out of this film and having had a good time. But I do see a lot of parents coming out of this film as well going, what the hell did I just take you to see? And so I do think that's something that's worth mentioning here. But I did enjoy the animation. I enjoyed the vibrancy of it. I enjoyed Little Petey. I enjoyed a lot of the humor in this film. It's super silly, it's super slapsticky, and it's super just immature fart joke level humor. It's for a certain audience, but I just wasn't that audience, so I didn't love the film. I didn't think it was great. I'll probably never watch this film ever again. And out of the two films that they've released in this franchise or in this universe with Captain Underpants and now Dogman, I'd much rather watch Captain Underpants than watch Dogman, which is a shame because I didn't think Captain Underpants was incredible either, but I was hoping that Dogman was going to be a lot better. It seemed like it was going to be a lot more fun, and ultimately it just kind of was okay. It was okay to me as an adult, but I see who this film is for, and I recognized it ain't me. So a big thanks to you guys for watching. Leave us some comments down below. Are you planning on checking out Dogman? If you've already seen it, what did you think about it? I look forward to hearing the various opinions on this one. If you took your kids to see it, I'd also love to hear what your kids thought about it, because I think, again, this is the film for them, so their opinion on this matters just a little bit more. So a big thanks to all of you guys. Hit that like button, comment some thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.